I recently had the opportunity to transfer and digitize 268 Lambert cylinders from the David Giovannoni collection. Part of that adventure was learning to deal with the idiosyncrasies of thin celluloid cylinders manufactured without a stabilizing core.
As soon as over the right of work the batter and place it on the table.
Some of them were quite challenging, as you can see here. Extremely out of round or with bumpy surfaces that cause tracking issues.
The heart of a random mark, played by the Quick Concert Orchestra, Lambert Record.
To complicate matters, many of the records had different sizes and shapes of warps, requiring multiple adjustments and for the record to be transferred in pieces to be assembled later. The archaeophone allows for precise adjustment with micro-thread screws on each end of the mandrel. With a challenging cylinder like a warped Lambert, these adjustments must be made several times throughout the playback. Often, once the first adjustment is made, the cylinder is still somewhat out of round. And though we can't make it perfect, we can make it better. And the result is significantly less wow.
The heart of a random mark, played by the Quick Concert Orchestra, Lambert Record.
You can see here that there's still quite a bit of bumping going on, but because of the adjustment we made, there is less vertical travel with each revolution, so the Doppler effect is minimized. Now I'm just going to let this play until we begin to see an increase in the distance of the vertical travel. That didn't take very long at all. So it's time for our next adjustment. Adjustment made, and as you can see, we've backed up a little bit so that our files overlap. This gives us a little bit of leeway when we go to edit the pieces together. Still quite a bit of bounce, but look over to the right and you can see the amount of offset that's been applied to the mandrel. So what we're hearing would sound much worse without that offset. And as we approach the end of the record, it looks like we're going to have to adjust again. Something to be mindful of is that we only want to adjust the playable surface of the cylinder. This one in particular has a fairly large runout area with a few unique bumps of its own. But because that's not part of the playable surface, we don't need to worry about those. That's not the case with most Lamberts, however. In this collection, I encountered many that had the groove running right off the end of the cylinder before the last note was finished. After one more adjustment, I think we're okay letting this ride out to the end. But keep an eye on that stylus. It's still going to be a pretty bouncy ride. The Lamberts everyone really seems to like are the Pepto-Bismol pink ones, so let's do one of those as well. This is not quite as misshapen as the one we did earlier, but as you can see, the beginning of the playable area has a lot going on. So let's see what we can do about that.
On it, Juliet, birds of the forest. The play by Messrs. Jenner and Hicks, Lambert Record.
In addition to the wow, we also have a bump that's making the stylus pop out of the groove with each revolution. So let's fix that first. What we need is a little extra weight, and I know it's really pedestrian to use a quarter, but it's all I can afford, so it's what I'm going to use. Now let's see if I have any luck straightening out the opening passages on this cylinder. Initial adjustments have been made, and it's still bumpy, but it's much better than it was. So let's see how far we can get.
On it, Juliet, Birds of the Forest, played by Messrs. Jenner and Hicks, Lambert Record.
So we've gotten past the roughest part of the record, but there's still a ways to go. It's time for another adjustment, which will affect everything to the left of where the stylus is hanging right now. And I don't think one adjustment is going to do it. We're probably going to need 2 or maybe even 3 more, but we'll see. Although the record surface looks fairly flat from here on out, the cartridge may end up revealing some vertical travel that we didn't know was there. And now we see it beginning to emerge. One big wow with each revolution of that mandrel. For this fine of an adjustment, I like to leave the stylus engaged. It will give us a much better idea of what's really going on. You can see I'm slowly turning the mandrel back and forth and adjusting the micro screws, all the while trying to create the flattest surface I can. I think that's good, so let's back it up a little bit. Create an overlap in our files, which will make the editing easier. So far so good, but keep an eye on the vertical travel of the cartridge. And I see it beginning to come back. So we're going to do a quick and dirty adjustment right here. You can't see me adjusting the screws, but I am. And a little more. Okay. And pick it up so we have our overlap for editing. So that's a quick demonstration of multiple adjustments on the Archaeophone.
The